Hey YouTube, this is one of the first few videos I'm going to share on this channel. This is a David Laffer and Melinda Brady story. In 2010, there was it's 2010, very tragic day in Suffolk County. We know it as the Medford executioner. These were during the times that, with the drug wars, heroin wasn't really that big because there was so many pills and pharmaceuticals in the streets. These were during the times that you didn't need an MRI to see a doctor. You go to your primary, you say ow a few times, you get Percocets for a few months, then you go to pain management, and you get your blues, your Oxycontins, and at that time you were able to have more than just one doctor. You were able to have 3, 4, and 5, and, well, let's just say it was at its peak. Now, this is a story about my interaction with David Laffer and Melinda Brady. It's odd because the Medford pharmacy used to be my great-grandmother's pharmacy. My great-grandparents raised me in Gordon Heights, which is a part of Long Island between Coram and Medford. And my grandmother used to go to the Medford pharmacy, family-owned. People in the pharmacy are people that I remember, as a child. My great-grandmother was like a mother to me, so going to the pharmacy, I got a hell of a story to tell you about this one, because this is history that, it's like Columbine. It blows up, and then it's not really out there, and people forget the situation. So, 10 years later, I'm going to bring it back. Well, almost 10 years. So, I'm doing 2 back-to-back bullets in Riverhead for probation violation. I'm not going to go in depth in... Okay, fine. I'll be real about it and tell you why. First degree robbery, counterfeiting, possession of a firearm. Shout out to Tony Colombo, very good lawyer. Really saved my ass on that one. I was only 17 years old, so I got a very good deal with that YO status. But since I violated probation, it didn't get expunged. So it saved me a lot of time, but it'll still haunt me for the rest of my life. But let's move on. I'm in Riverhead now, Riverhead County Jail, which is... I've been to Rikers, I've been to Nassau, I've been to Riverhead. Riverhead, I'd say, is the best. The most comfortable. I'm not saying that it's soft. I mean, people... It's the same as Rikers Island, but it's more my comfort zone because I know more people there. I know the system very well. But don't get it confused. Riverhead Jail is a very horrible place, and to get used to an environment like that, during that 2-year bid, Hurricane Irene came. During Hurricane Irene, all the toilets backed up, exploded. The drains, the sewage, everything just... Think about 8 feet up in the air, just projectile vomiting out sewage. It took weeks. To this day, 10 years later, the jail's still fucked because of that. There was so many lawsuits. I was able to get a good compensation because I was there for 2 years. If you were there for like 2 months, you get $600. So I made out pretty well. Okay, now let's get to David Laffer. I remember now. I don't want to get too deep into things that can, you know, he can't defend himself. He's in. I don't mean it. I mean, if somebody's dead or in jail, they're not here to voice their opinions or defend themselves. I'm not going to speak on people that aren't here to defend themselves or respond. So, I remember watching the news, because that's what we'd do. We'd watch the news and see who's coming in, get all excited, especially high-profile cases. I remember my third day when they took me from reception and moved me up to the floors. They already knew my name, they knew my crime. Whoa, you were on the run for 2 weeks. Like, that's what we do to kill time. You know, that was a big thing in Riverhead. I was already 3/4 done with my bid, so I was a tier rep, and there were 3 of us, very segregated in the prison systems and jail systems. They have one for the whites, one for the blacks, one for the Hispanics, and I don't even like to use those words because we're all human. You know, I don't think skin color separates any of us, and I think what they do in the prison system and just law enforcement and news and society just dumbs people down and brings it back to, like, you know, the 1950s. Let's just move past that. So here, it's around my birthday. My birthday was coming up in April, and David Laffer was on the news. There was a shooting at Medford Pharmacy. He was on the run. They didn't know who he was. But they showed the pharmacy that I used to go to with my great-grandmother, and they showed the bodies that were dead. I was heartbroken because I remember one of the girls that I had seen dead. I actually had a little crush on whenever I go there as a little kid. My great-grandmother would pick up her medications. That was the daughter of the pharmacist there. Years ago, I forget their names. You know, a family pharmacy, everybody knows your name. It's a nice family-friendly place. So, 3 people dead, executioner style, bullet to the back of the head, had him lined up. Melinda Brady had no idea. If you don't know who she is, this is the driver's wife. The plan was, I'll get to that after. Let me just tell you what the news put out. News showed the bodies, the crime scene, and explained what was robbed. And then it was this whole big thing on cracking down on pain management doctors. But before he was even found, he was still on the run. Because it was the Opanas, the Oxycontin, the Roxycodones, or all of that, fentanyl, all of it was stolen. Anything with a controlled substance label, but opiates, mostly opiates. So they had that on the news for 3 days, and then finally he was found. When they found this man, let me tell you something. I remembered his face. I remembered meeting him, and I remembered actually having a conversation with him, which is very odd, but this was at the Quorum DSS, about 2 years prior. I was getting paperwork done, he was getting paperwork done. The reason I knew it was him for sure is because we were speaking about our doctors. We were speaking about, I knew it was him. He was in the military. He was in the Marines. And overall, this man was, he was not a murderer. He did not seem like the type of person who would ever pull anything like this. Laughable guy. He was with Melinda Brady at the time, his wife. They were great people. Great people. People that I would store in my phone and hang out with back then. So I see this on the news and I'm hurting because I see this man who looks like he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know what he did. He doesn't know what's going on. Look at my finger. Think about my finger like suction cup, like bone skinny. I'm saying this guy had no muscle on him whatsoever. He looked like a starved out 90-pound soaking wet 6'3" man. The man I knew before he was, locked up due to that 3 hours, DSS takes a while, that 3-hour conversation. My wife was with me at the time too. We spoke about it together on the phone. It's like, I can't believe that's really him. But let me tell you something. This was such a high-profile case, not just in New York, worldwide. Okay? This did not just fuck up the pharmaceutical industry for everybody in New York, but everybody in America. Pain management clinics were shutting down by the second. Everybody was getting so sick. They made so much, they made trillions off Suboxone. Trillions. And made trillions off the deaths of heroin. And after that, heroin became such a huge epidemic. I remember back then there was a choice, and most people chose not to do heroin and chose to do pills because it was the safer alternative. People didn't want to die, and there was still that line drawn, like, okay, this is my safe zone, but this is the line I don't cross. And I was one of those people. I gotta be honest with you, I am a recovering addict. To me, there's really no difference. An opiate's an opiate. The only difference is a pharmaceutical, you know what you're getting. And I'm not saying I'm any better because I chose that over the other. But just to make it clear, I'm not judging anybody. We're all in this life together, having a human experience. Human, like hue, light. Hue means a light. Man means carcass, animal, physical body. We are not New Yorkers. We are not Americans. We are not Europeans. We are humans. But the truth will only apply to those who understand the truth. So now we're going to get deeper into this, alright? Before my encounter with Melinda Brady and David Laffer while I was in Riverhead, which was insane. But let me tell you something. And I don't like to discuss things like this on YouTube because they are so fragile, because they want to keep this a secret. And I tried to shout this out to New World Order resistance, but I really didn't like where they were going with their content, and I just didn't want to be involved. if you know about TIs, a TI is somebody that, okay, military trained, mind controlled. Let me give you a little history of Long Island. All you have to do is look up the Monarch Project. All you have to do is live in Long Island in Suffolk County, and that's enough. You already know and have the proof. You don't have to say, oh, that's a myth, because there's Delta T antennas on different schools. People have so many schools and buildings, and people have so many experiences of time travel, going into parallel universes. It gets deeper than that, but I don't want to get too deep on that subject. I want to get into the subject called MK Ultra. MK Ultra and Monarch programming. Okay? The ICC and MIC, Military Industrial Corporation, and then the Intelligent Communications Corporation. Those are the two systems that fund and operate Monarch programming and MK Ultra. It's all over social media, but there's a lot of fake news out there, and a lot of these pages that you have no idea who's speaking, the face isn't there, and you have all these advertisements. A lot of that is just garbage, what people heard and want to repeat. But I'm telling you a real story, and I have so much more. This is, like I said, this is my first video, first of few, the first few of my videos are going to be about this. But like I said, this man was a man that I could trust around my kids. For real. How they use the technology and the mind control, MK Ultra and Monarch programming. Let me tell you something. Medford and Yaphank. Medford and Yaphank is just one town next door to the other. During World War II, before World War II, during World War I, the Nazis came to Yaphank. My great-grandfather was alive way before World War II. So, he came from the Bronx, but he bought a house in Yaphank. No, I'm sorry, he bought a house in Gordon Heights, but still, that's Medford, Yaphank, Gordon Heights, it's all a minute away from each other. And he was aware of this because they had towns that were all German communities that had names like Adolf Road and swastikas and all German propaganda, and it was very hidden. And back then, in times where the TV wasn't even invented yet, there's antennas and all this crazy technology and towers everywhere, and this is when the Monarch Project was in operation. But I'm here to speak about the MK Ultra and Monarch programming and Columbine, for instance. If you think about Columbine, what they'll do is to brainwash you. There's other people involved. In this case, it was Melinda Brady and somebody else. I forgot the name, but it was another accomplice. And similar to the Trenchcoat Mafia, that was a name given to them by the news. But they usually have 3 people programmed to do a specific thing for a specific reason. In that case, gun control. In this case, pharmaceutical control. Think about it. And gun control. But more so pharmaceutical control. That shooting impacted the whole entire country. After that shooting, no doctors were prescribing pills. I had a kidney stone and went to the hospital, and they didn't give me anything for pain. I remember the last time I had a kidney stone, they gave me morphine. They sent me home with a prescription. I was only 14 years old, and I wasn't addicted at the time. I didn't know. To me, they were just pills. I didn't know what they were. Somebody offered me $300 for the bottle. Oh, cool. Okay. But yeah, I knew nothing about that. It wasn't. I don't think you're supposed to when you're that young. But back to this incident, which is why I am 100% sure with my proof and a lot of other people's proof that David Laffer was either programmed through Monarch or MK Ultra. Because of his military skills and because of his born and raised on Long Island, I'll speak about Brookhaven Lab because the area he was in the town of Brookhaven, I'm going to have to do a video about Brookhaven for you to understand Brookhaven. Brookhaven has satellites, Delta T antennas, and they have nanotech that if you're a targeted individual, if they choose you to be like a Eric Holder or a someone in the Trenchcoat Mafia or a David Laffer, if they choose you to do something so violent for a purpose, whether it's to seize all guns, to seize all pharmaceuticals and have everybody sick, everybody making the pharmaceutical industry. Let me tell you something. A prescription of Oxycontin might cost $90 to $200 without insurance. A prescription of Suboxone with no insurance costs over $1,000. They are making trillions off Suboxone. And what they did was like a chess move. Alright, let's mind control this person. Let's sacrifice these people. If you didn't know, this tattoo on my eye, it's not just there to be cool. It's not just there to prove anything. I don't have to prove anything. I'm covered in tattoos, and this tattoo means the most to me. Okay? Knowledge of self, knowledge of the 10 chambers, knowledge of we could build on every single level and every single path of the occult, of the of spirituality, and it all leads back to the Tetragrammatron 5-rayed star. Now, me knowing what I know, because I too was a victim, and I'll get into that in other videos. I'll speak about my experiences, but right now let me tell you, when David Laffer was in jail, mind you, there's people in jail that did worse things than him. There's people in jail that had 20 A felonies, 30 felonies, and a man that murdered 3 people. There's people that were in Riverhead for 10 bodies. I know, because they sent me from floor to floor, and they sent me to East 1 East, which is the high-profile cases. I mean, there were people there for 3 and 4 years wearing Air Force Ones, and people that have been to Riverhead and never been to 1 East have no idea deer. I mean, the correctional officers will bring in pizza. They'll bring in cigarettes. Like, it gets busy there. Like, you gotta have a reputation to live there. You gotta mark your territory. You gotta fight. A lot of people, when they go to Riverhead, they want to have that one fight and then it's over. But no, we'll get into that later. Because I was in 1 East, that's where the high-profile cases are. They moved me on a daybed. If you don't know what a daybed is, it's illegal. That's why you don't know what it is. But Riverhead was so overcrowded that they had daybeds. So in the tier, they would place a bed. So you have no cell, no bars, no bunkie. You're just a bed in the hallway. That's like being a homeless person in jail. I know it makes no sense, but think about it. Some people love the safety of their bars and the privacy. Think about having a bed right there in the middle of the hallway where every 5 cells can see you all the time, what you're doing, and oh man, I had to do so much to hold it down and stay there. But I would get called down to medical a lot because, you know what, that's my business. I'm just going to keep it my business. But I get called down to medical a lot. And one day they seized the whole building. And they don't do this. Like, I've been in and out of Riverhead so many times that when they seized the building, I didn't know. So I kept on walking. Walking and walking, and the captain comes. I swear to God, the captain, he was ready to put me on my ass, literally. Captain comes, screams at my face, "Stop!" And I stop. And he said, "Don't move a muscle, or you're going to regret it." And this other CO is watching. It's the captain. And I'm in the hallway. And all of a sudden, the elevator drops. The doors open up, and it's David Laffer. He's in a white suit. When I say a white suit, they gave him the paper suit. That's not Suicide Watch. Suicide Watch, they give you the turtle shell. He was in a paper suit, covering up all tattoos, everything. He still had black eyes, and like, they beat him so bad. But they beat everybody so bad. But like, long story short, I see him. I make eye contact with him. If I could, I would have said, "Hey, what's up?" Because I met him. But his look towards me, when I met him before this incident, completely different person. And no, it has nothing to do with addiction, because I swear I know people that had 10 times worse of a problem than he did. He still had a house. He still had a car. I mean, I know people that still wouldn't even do what he did, and they're out in the streets selling their body. Not anymore. Like, this is way back, 10 years back in my life. But the point I'm trying to make, when I looked at him, it's like he didn't even remember who I was. And I watched him, and his movements were just like so different. So different. And I spoke to his wife, Melinda Brady. Sent her a couple of letters. And, wow, very secretive. Like, they looked through these letters hardcore, I could tell, because there were stains on them for them trying to encrypt the messages, and I should have never wrote her. That probably targeted me. But, I had a court date. I never got a letter back from her. After the first letter she sent me. The first letter she sent me, she pretty much said, I had no idea it would happen like that. Yeah, I remember you. It's a shame we're in here. And I was saying to her, I said, you know what? You'll be alright. Like, just hang in there. You didn't commit the crime. You didn't know this was going to happen. You'll be alright. Then they wouldn't let me write to her anymore. At a court date, and all of a sudden, see Melinda Brady, Laffer's wife. And they seized the jail again, except she had her clothes. She was able to come through in her clothes. So she's in the jail cell. Of course, she's serving 25 to life. I don't know why. But all I know is, after that incident, the pharmaceutical companies made billions. All I know is the way, and I'm going to explain how they use technology for mind control and how they can implant nanotech and actually force thoughts upon you, force choices upon you. I'm going to get into that because I've experienced it. Remember, I lived 5 years of my life in Brookhaven, Long Island, before I moved to the city. And I have a hell of a story to tell. But speaking on the David Laffer case, this is so similar to Columbine. And you need to understand, Columbine happened, Sandy Hook, and all these situations. And why was more than half the school not even there? Why was the FBI in hospital rooms all over any witnesses, making sure that they didn't say anything? If they had any evidence, they would use intimidation tactics. Oh, you can't say that because if you say that, they might look for you and kill you too and shoot you too. FBI and the CIA are in on this MK Ultra and Monarch programming. You know why? I'll tell you why. This is how they could seize the guns. This is how they could seize all guns. This is how they can make huge, tremendous moves in the pharmaceutical industry to make trillions of dollars. Also, cause so many deaths because when people get sick, there's either two choices: suicide or overdose. So the death rate skyrocketed, making so much money. And then I forgot, there's a third choice: getting on Suboxone, because that's the only medication that they will give out that will leave you a little bit sick, but not too sick. Suboxone is so expensive, and they know that the lower class that has Medicaid, they don't know the prices of Suboxone, and Medicaid pays for it. But those that don't have Medicaid, they can't be on Suboxone because this shit is $1,500 for a prescription for 1 month. So think about oxycodone being $100 and Suboxone being $1,500. That chess move that they made with David Laffer. I'll get into Sandy Hook, I'll get into Columbine, but I just want you to know that chess move with David Laffer. Look up the Medford Massacre. Look up David Laffer. David, D-A-V-I-D, Laffer, L-A-F-F-E-R. And Melinda Brady, M-E-L-I-N-D-A-B-R-A-D-Y. Simple. Medford Massacre. That's right in the Yaphank area where Operation Paperclip started, where there's still underground bases and still underground tunnels to Montauk Point, to Brookhaven. Brookhaven Lab is so big now that it's expanded beyond the size of Long Island. There's satellites everywhere. There's Delta T antennas everywhere. And to keep this video short, please look up a Delta T antenna, because I'm not going to explain it here. You look it up first, and then in my other videos I'll bring it up and I'll share experiences that I've had being too close to Delta T antennas. Not just me, but me and my ex-wife, me and other people. You know, this is not just me. This is hundreds to thousands of Long Islanders starting to give their stories out now. They used to stay silent because when you tell stories like this, they hate it. When I say they, you should know what I mean. But they hate it because it's the truth. And like I said, the truth will only resonate with those who could understand the truth. They had flying saucers in Germany, 0-point gravity. They had help with the Vril Society. The Vril Society were the Aldebrians, people from the Aldebrian star system that would channel alien language to their mathematical solutions, scientific solutions. That's how they learned time travel. That's how they learned, like, they had holograms and flying saucers in the 1930s and the 1940s. Look up the U.S. Eldridge and the Philadelphia Project. They made a hole in the space-time, a black hole. They made a U.S. naval ship, the U.S. Eldridge, disappear in time. And this ship shows up, even though it was from the early 30s, shows up randomly to this day because it's stuck in time. It's stuck in a time loop. This is not made up stuff. This is stuff that is highly classified, and they specifically keep it so secret that anybody that speaks about it, they say, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, or oh, you're crazy. You believe that? No, I don't believe anything. I experienced it. I've been through it. I've seen it, witnessed it, and experienced it. I've been through abductions. I've been in bases, and I've studied for half my life not just how this system operates, the system meaning MK Ultra, Monarch, and so many other projects. So I gotta keep this video short, but there's hundreds of classified projects, from Project Ultra, Project Black Ops, Project. There's too many to name. We'll keep it short and simple. David Laffer was a chess piece to make the pharmaceutical industry trillions, and to make the streets completely dependable on heroin, which ruined families, killed people, took so many. It just destroyed America. Destroyed America. I had my motorcycle accident. Okay. You give me 3 micrograms of fentanyl 3 times a day in the hospital. But you release me with such a high tolerance that you've given me. And you discharge me with a 5 milligram Percocet twice a day when all my skin is burned off and I can't even walk, I'm crippled? Yet people that get a tooth pulled get more, at least a 10 milligram Percocet twice a day or 3 times a day. They specifically made this chess move so people would start committing suicide, overdosing, becoming addicted. The doctors never made people addicted. No, no, no. This chess move, if you understand what I'm saying, if you understand the truth, this chess move was to remove all of the controversy, distort the truth and make it seem like doctors are getting patients addicted. No. The doctors are helping people function. When I take my pain meds, I could at least pick up my children and put them in the car seat. I could at least, function a little bit to please my wife and have a normal life. Pain medication never made me unfunctionable to where I'm drooling and no, no, no. They completely cut that part out of society. And now your only choice is heroin or Suboxone. And both of them, Suboxone completely terminates your sex drive. If you take it, don't plan on having sex or a good relationship, because the pill destroys your sex drive. It's a blessing that I'm allergic to it. And the heroin will do the same thing. It's cut with so much things we don't know about, and like I said, I don't know much about it, but what I do know is you cannot function on it. At least when you have Oxycontin or Oxys, even if you do take a couple of extras when you're in pain, you are not falling asleep and forgetting everything. But with heroin, you take a little bit extra, you die. You get a bad batch, you die. If you don't die, you wish you died because now your arm is getting amputated. Like, they just used David Laffer as a chess piece with MK Ultra and Monarch programming to impact the whole entire world to depend on heroin and make the lying, disgusting, dirty pharmaceutical companies trillions of dollars with the new Suboxone drug. So, I'm about to end my video, but on a short note, I'll end it on this. When I did go to medical, finally, after they seized the jail and they recontinued, nobody was able to see him. I couldn't believe that I saw him, but there's people there. There was a robbery that took place and a heist where 10 people were shot and cars were robbed, like a lot worse than David Laffer's crime. But they still got visits. They wore greens. Some of them were even allowed in general population. But David Laffer, whose crime was less serious than theirs, wore a white suit, had FBI and high-profile guards around him. And to this day, you can't even find out what prison he was sent to, or if he's still alive. They make sacrifices, blood sacrifices, and do rituals to choose the next chess move, whether it's going to be war, whether it's going to be something like a 9/11, a Hurricane Sandy, a Hurricane Katrina. They know these things. And they love when they could make and convince the whole world or the whole country to think that a man is crazy enough to shoot up a farm. If that was the thing, you gotta look outside of the box and read between the lines. This man was programmed and trained. This was already a chess piece put in place, in motion. It's as if they knew when it was going to happen and how it was going to happen. And the 3 days that he was on the run, he was at his own house. Why would you be at your own house, right down the block from a pharmacy that you just... You see, that's mind control. Anybody with common sense, I don't, drugs has nothing to do with somebody becoming unintelligent. I've met some of the most brilliant people that are drug addicts. When I met David Laffer, he wasn't a drug addict. And I honestly don't know for sure. But there's so much lies in the media that came with that. It's just insane. Because now people are suffering so much. They are taking their own lives. They are using street drugs that are 1,000 times worse. And someone like me who has 2 kids, a wife, and a dog, I get into a motorcycle accident where I'm wrapped up like a mummy. I have 3rd-degree burns on 75% of my body because I slid 800 yards in 90-degree weather on the highway and survived. I had my bones in my elbows. Can you see that? Into the other elbow. My elbow bones popped out of my skin. The burns were so bad, and how they treated me, they had to scrape it with a metal brush every single day in excruciating pain. The hospital kept me for 5 days, sent me out unable to walk, back to my 2 kids, my wife. They didn't give me a nurse, and they prescribed me 5 milligram Percocets when I've been on fentanyl, oxycodone, and 10 milligram Percocets 4 times a day, all 3 of those drugs, just to function. It would not get me high. It would just allow me to eat, allow me to move my arm and try to feed myself, to try and attempt to have some dignity and use the bathroom. But they sent me back to my family with 5 milligram Percocets twice a day. That was after the David Laffer thing, and that's how fucked up it is. That's how fucked up it is. That they want you to think that the doctors are evil, when really the doctors were doing everything right. They just wanted the Suboxone to make trillions, and they wanted the world to believe that if one man shot up a pharmacy and killed people, that if they keep on prescribing safe medications that help people function with a family or not, with a job, and you have pain management problems like chronic pain, now you're fucked. Now you have a decision: death, heroin, which is slow death, or getting on Suboxone, which is gonna kill your sex drive and lead to death anyway, because you're gonna become so depressed. Because, need I say more? They made a chess move. And I'm gonna speak about Columbine and how this is very similar to Columbine and Sandy Hook, because it impacts the world. Not a lot of people mention David Laffer, but now this channel, you know what? I'll save that for another video. For now, that's my story. It's my evidence. Oh, there's so much more. Trust me, there is so much more. I didn't mean for this video to almost be an hour long, but there's going to be a lot more content that you've all been waiting for and pushing me to put out there. And I'm going to do it. Okay? I don't have the fancy microphone. I don't have the best equipment, but it doesn't matter. I have a heart, a mind, and a mouth, and a voice, and the truth. Again, I'm going to say this a third time. The truth must be put out, but only those that could comprehend and understand the truth will it ever be applied and understood. So with that being said, I hope you learned. I hope you enjoyed, and you have a very good day. And I'm going to teach you, any targeted people, any targeted individuals, I'm going to teach you how to counter that. There's so much videos that I have to start posting, because it's not about speaking about the problems. It's more about speaking about the solutions to the problems. Because we could do this. We could all do this. And there's plenty of ways to get it done. And I'm going to be there, and I'm going to tell you how. Mind you, it's been 10 years, over 10 years, that I've been on my spiritual journey. My spiritual journey actually started when I was locked up. Maybe I'll get into that another time, but I have so much more content for this channel, more for the positive. I'm not just going to be here to speak about negative subjects. When I do, it's only to open up your eyes about the truth, why they really did it, how it really happened, and why it happened. So, that being said, much love, and to everybody who watched this. This is one of my first videos. Thank you for the likes, the dislikes, the comments, any negative comment, any comment that is disrespectful, you will be blocked right away. I will not tolerate that at all whatsoever. This is for family, this is for people that are not only experiencing the same things, but have seen the same things and know what I'm speaking about. That being said, you all have a good and safe day, and that's it. That's all I gotta say.